So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the first VBRA webinar, and I'm pleased to invite and acknowledge Mike Bennett, Legislation Engineer from DAF Trucks. Hiya Mike, thanks for coming on today, and thanks for giving us all the presentation material for today as well. And we have our Jerry Braddock, National Manager for VBRA Commercial. So I'm relatively new into commercials, so my knowledge is limited, hence why we have Jerry and Mike on today. But DAF Trucks, they're sort of spearheading technology, and Mike's, I'm not going to steal your thunder, Mike, but Mike's going to have a look at what technology that is, including EV, ADAS, and a few other bits and pieces. So Mike, shall I take us into the intro video?
Yeah, of course.
So, Mike,
so good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. As I've been introduced, my name is Mike Bennett. I held the ground position of Legislation Engineer at DAF Trucks. I spent some time at DAF. I've been there about 4 years now, previously as technical support engineer and a technical trainer. And I've taken this role because it was felt that the way things are going, a more focused position within the dealer network was required, so that there was a point of contact for both our dealers and also for our customers and our staff. So I sit within DAF, looking after this kind of thing, but I also in communication with people like the SMMT, TFF, and some of our other committees and likes. So we're going to take a look at what's coming today and in our program. So who we are, what we do, some information for bodybuilders, and also have a look at our ADAS system, and then we'll finish off with a look around the new electric vehicles that are coming. So who we are, so DAF in the UK, we're based at Haddenham, which is a small hamlet in Buckinghamshire. Got a brand new building there, been there since last year. £22 million investment to create new offices and also a new DAF Academy for training, as well as an area where we can bring staff and dealers and customers to view vehicles and look at how things go. Of course, we've been the only UK truck manufacturer. We still hold the site at Leyland from back in the day, and all of the models are produced. They were produced about 90% of UK trucks at Leyland, with the rest coming from the Netherlands. So we're going to look at our product range. So that slide there shows you our three main trucks. We don't do anything other than trucks. We don't do anything smaller than 7.5 tons. So on the left there you have our LF, which is a 7.5 to 18 ton range vehicle in various combinations. The CF to the right there, which is available options up to 44 tons, and then the flagship XF in the centre, which is our long distance hauler vehicle, which takes us up to 150 tons overall, and the STGO. We build trucks to order. We don't have stock trucks. We build every truck to order, and every truck can be different. So everyone's built to a customer specification.
So Mike, just before you go on, is it true that 1 in 3 trucks on the road is a DAF?
Yeah, I mean, we've been market leader now, the 26th year this is, and our market share is around about 32% at the moment, because we've been pushed to move that on from our owners up in the Netherlands and America. But we're doing okay. We're still leading the world. So yeah, 1 in 3 trucks on the road is a DAF truck.
That's huge, isn't it? Absolutely huge.
Yeah, and it means a massive commitment from us, obviously, with the likes of our dealer network and those kind of things. So yeah, it is something to behold.
Yeah.
So we're not particularly aimed at particularly well set up for body repairers as such. I did do some research into that. We do offer really good access to our bodybuilders, and we support those in various ways. We see them as a partnership, bodybuilders, as opposed to them and us. We like to help our bodybuilders, and I'd like to think we're going to do some better work for our repairers. So we can help our bodybuilders by giving them access to a massive website called BBI Plus, Bodybuilder Information Plus, a wealth of information on how to fit things and where things go and how the truck's being built, what your truck's coming off the line like. And to support that, we have a network that provides 137 dealers, I think it is now, across the nation, all with excellent support to help you integrate anything you like into a vehicle. We also have 2 sales engineers, one north, one south. Jamie is in the south, and John Turner heading up the north. And we also have a sales engineering help desk, which is available to anybody through the dealer network. So what is BBI Plus? Well, BBI Plus is a portal. It's a website. And it gives information regarding the integration of vehicle bodies and components to any vehicle in the DAF product range. It tells you what our guidelines are and what we expect equipment to be fitted to, where to install it and how to install it, how much you can draw current-wise and voltage, and also ground connections. Talks about power takeoff. So this is additional power where you may be running a refrigerator or hydraulic equipment. And what's really good though is it gives you lots of partners. So rather than struggling around for that connector or this wire or whatever it is, it gives you that information. It also allows you to see 2 and 3 drawings of your vehicle. So if you order a vehicle, even before the time you get that vehicle around, there's a drawing available for it. And they can also be generic, so you could just look up a generic vehicle if you're just doing a tender for something, or you can have a very much chassis specific drawing, allows you to see exactly what your vehicle is going to look like and where you can fit components and the likes.
And Mike, any of the VBRA members will be able to access the BBI Plus as soon as they're verified via yourself, is that correct?
That's correct. I have the luxury of having to vet every single person that goes to BBI. Our website, dafbbi.com. You fill in a form, that comes to me. You just check that you are a VAT company of good repute, and then that gets forwarded up to our factory, and then they free up the website for you.
But it has to be a commercial, a business email, not a private email.
That's right. We tend to dismiss the Gmails, the Hotmails, and the Yahoo accounts as a matter of course, because we get a lot of applications from not bodybuilders, sorry, modelers more than anything. Lots of applications for people who want to build models, but DAF don't want to give that information away. So this is very good information for the right people.
Yeah. So this presentation and access to the BBI will be going onto our website. So yeah, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, and from a repairer's point of view, we also have an option called RMI, which is the repair and maintenance information, which gives, it's not free, that one. It's a subscription service which you can subscribe to for an hour, a day, a week, a year, and that will give you all the repair dimensions and various parts of that when you come to do repairs. So yeah, within Bbi Plus, we have some new features. These were all integrated last year. So 3D visualizations of body components for all vehicles from 2005. We have all the CAD files, different variations on cabs and air intakes and various other components. Also shows some of the generic parts, so things like air tanks and spare wheel holders, those kind of things. It allows you to look at the front of a vehicle for a din plate preparation. So those that aren't familiar, din plate is the from the left, the bumper, the headlights, and the big metal bit. That's for fitting equipment onto, such as a snow plough. So we get quite a few snow ploughs. As I said before, PTO preparation. So again, power takeoff, where you want to take power from a vehicle to draw some auxiliary option. And then really key for chassis integration is plans of the chassis with specific bolt hole patterns and locations of components.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry, next slide. So as I alluded to before, this is our front page for Bbi Plus. This order information tab, which is the one that's highlighted there in the circle, as soon as the vehicle has a production number, you can go into this and put the production number in. It will show you exactly what your vehicle is going to be built like. And it will also send you an email at each stage to see whether it's finished build, left the factory, been delivered to the dealer. So you can track it and see where the vehicle is. You can download the drawings of that vehicle, and you can also look at a 3D model of that vehicle. As soon as Haven or Leyland have produced the bill of materials for it. So as I've explained, we are here to help. We're here to help everybody. We do try to answer all your emails on the same day. I have to say we do get a massive influx of emails, and it's not always possible. But if you're going to talk to us and make our life and your lives a little bit easier by telling us these key bits of information, the chassis number if you know it, the registration of course if it's been registered, the nature of the issue. So what are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? What would you like to do? What would you like the truck to do? Functional requirements. So if you want a vehicle to rev up when you engage this button, then tell us that's what you want it to do and we'll tell you how to do it. And then finally, as much information as possible will help us. And you can either email James or John and they'll do their help you, or you can just talk to your dealer, as I said.
And that goes for body repair as well, Mike. So if there's
Indeed.
an issue, so it's not just bodybuilders, it's body repair as well. Hence why we've got the partnership with DAF and Mike.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, for body repair information at the moment, as I said to you in the past, we're not very keyed for body repair as per se. I'm happy to help them. So maybe as part of the stuff that goes out, I'll give you my email address and we can do it directly at the moment. I'm trying to look at how we can better support the repairs, because I do feel that we're missing a little bit on the repairer side of things.
Well, that's something that Jerry and myself can help with. So if anyone's got any technical issues with repairing one of these, and we can liaise with Mike or Jamie or John in getting that information to you.
Sure. So the whole reason behind this is that we're trying to help both you and us. We see this kind of installation less frequently now, I would say, but we all deal with various installers, the guy that comes to fit the camera, the guy that comes to fit the sat nav, the guy that comes to fit the telematics. The connections are there to use, but people don't necessarily know. The information is available to you. Again, if there's anything we can help you with, then please just let us know. We don't want to be in the situation where at midnight at the side of the road trying to fix a vehicle because of a poor installation by maybe one of your third-party installers. So we are very conscious that things get installed correctly.
That's good to know.
So we're going to move on now and look at advanced driver assistance systems. And the key word in this title is assistance. The whole idea of advanced driver assistance systems is to take over help when the driver is unable to. This is not a replacement for the driver. So if we have next, please. Excuse me. So the two levels of advanced driver assistance, our lane departure warning system and our advanced emergency braking system. And these are predominantly affected when we see third-party repairs for either the windscreen or around the bumper area, the front grille. Next slide. So first off, we'll look at lane departure warning, a short video.
The DAF Lane Departure Warning System is a safety system which detects drifting and alerts the driver to ensure the vehicle remains in the correct lane. The system uses camera-based technology fitted behind the windscreen to track the vehicle's position against the lane markings. When the vehicle drifts outside the lane, the radio is muted and a distinctive rumble strip noise is activated from a speaker at the corresponding side of the vehicle. This warning sound alerts the driver to correct the steering from the left or the right and remain in the lane. When the driver uses the indicator to turn left or right, the LWS system recognises the planned manoeuvre and overrides the LWS warning. Reduce the risks and stay on the right track with the DAF Lane Departure Warning System.
Okay, so this was originally an option. We're seeing it increasingly become a standard equipment for most operators. It's a lane departure warning system. It's meant to prevent you from inadvertently changing lanes or drifting whilst you're driving. It's driven by a camera which is fitted behind the windscreen, a little bit at the top or the bottom, and it uses the vehicle's position relative to the vehicle lane markings to keep you on the straight and narrow. And when, as it said in the video, when you cross the line, it alerts you. So the camera itself, which is positioned as I say in the windscreen, has a field of view of 23 degrees up and down, 22 degrees up and down, and 38 degrees left and right from the camera axis. Usually takes a second to pick up markings, and that will look at any markings that are commonly used across Europe. And once it's determined the lane width, it will also calculate your vehicle width and can work to make sure that you stay in the lane. Next slide, please. So if we look at the calibration and certification of this, predominantly this comes around with windscreen replacement or damage. If you buy a new lane departure warning system camera, take it out of the box, stick it to the screen and plug it in, it'll work. You don't need to do anything with it. That's exactly what you have to do. Put it back in the same place as it was, it'll be fine. There is the option to adjust the height if you move the position of it, but this has to be done through our David Diagnostics computer, a DAF dealer, and it's got an optional height between 1 and 3 meters. As I reiterate, if you take it out of the box, and fit it to the truck, it will work. It will self-calibrate and work.
So Mike, just out of curiosity, if you've had the cab off to straighten it and you've had to replace the camera, is there any requirement to calibrate, or is it just plug it in and it would pick up where it needs to go?
There is no requirement to calibrate it at all. They come out of the box ready to go. It's a one-for-one replacement, as long as there's no damage to wiring, what have you. So
okay. Be fine. Okay,
it's a simple fit. Okay, so we'll take a look at the second option, well, not option, but the second part of this, which is the advanced emergency braking system. We'll take a look at that with a short video.
My God.
Yeah. I think, Mike, if I seen that in my rear view mirror approaching that fast, I'd have a bit of a wobbly moment.
We've hit that sled a few times as well.
Don't tell me that.
Okay, so advanced emergency braking function. So the AEBS includes some of the following vehicle functions depending on the vehicle configuration. So adaptive cruise control. So this is cruise control that will keep you at a set distance from a vehicle in front. A forward collision warning, and then an advanced emergency braking. These are all with an aim to reducing the strain on the driver, keeping the driver alert as to what's going on, and also influencing and activating systems if the driver reactions aren't there. I think the key thing to this is that for AEBS to work as it did in the video, to be absolutely true to form, there has to be no driver intervention. So this is a asleep at the wheel piece of equipment. As soon as the driver interacts with the vehicle, he brakes or he turns the steering, or then the system assumes the vehicle is in control of the driver. And as I said at the start, these are assistance systems. They're not there to replace the driver. Next slide. So, as a legislation point of view, I mean, these are there to improve the road safety, and it became a standard requirement to have ABS on all vehicles from 2015, in our case, week 45. And as part of that, so those vehicles will also have the cruise control on the active cruise control. AEB function, advanced emergency braking, was introduced with the Euro 6 vehicle series. So for us, that was at the beginning of 2012. And in 2020, we introduced a new AEBS system, ABS3, which includes the new ECU. There are some vehicles that don't have AEBS, of course, for 8x4 off-road and construction vehicles. Vehicles that don't have stability control. So because there's no stability control, it can't be operated. And then also what we call special concessionary vehicles. So these are snowplows, showmans, that kind of thing. And the main component is shown here, which is mentioned in the last one, is just an ECU and a forward-looking radar. So as you can see, it fits on the front of the vehicle, probably roughly at about headlight height, depending on the vehicle type, and it is behind the front grille. It shouldn't be obscured by anything, by paint, stickers, metallic objects, especially things like din plates, which we spoke about before, because anything metallic will trigger the radar and then activate the warning. You also saw in the video that we had a couple of events happen as we activate the ABS, and that was an audible warning, what we call a haptic event. So you'll get a sharp stab of the brakes before you get 100% brake application. Moving on. So again, as we look at the angle of the radar, it has a vertical plane of 14.4 degrees and a horizontal of 62. So if you're going to mount things like light bars or additional equipment, then it has to be outside of this range. And we often see that this gets infringed upon, and we'll put the warning light on the dashboard for a blocked radar, and that you can't fix that. It has to go to a DAF dealer once it's been on there for a period of time. If it's just needs cleaning, then it shows as blocked. Once you've cleaned it, it'll clear, but anything metallic that's in its way, it will pick up all the time.
So it does actually show you if there's snow or dirt covering it, then you just need to clean it off and the light will go off.
Yeah, you get an amber warning light and an audible dictation that it's blocked, and also that of course then disables the AEBS. So general wipe over, part of the walk around really, you should see a general wipe over about every time.
Yeah. Okay.
So as we said, so these two systems don't really need calibrating, but we've been reactive to insurance companies and also to some of our customers that are demanding that after repair, these vehicles are recalibrated and checked in line with the DAF equipment. So last year I put in place a third-party calibration system where you could present the vehicle to a dealer after repair and request that they calibrate the ADAS system. The dealer then calibrate and test the system and then provide you a certificate of evidence that the system is working and calibrated. As shown here, this is the certificate. They will complete it, they will keep a copy, and they will give a copy to yourself or the customer. And the whole of this was to give some reassurance to operators and to insurers that vehicles have been repaired to a required standard.
I think that's really powerful, Mike. They've done similar, but a little bit more in the sort of passenger vehicles with the IIR, and I think that's something that Jerry and I will be working on in the future to try and pull this across the whole commercial spectrum. I think the certificate to say that it's been calibrated correctly or it's gone through the process and it's working effectively is crucial in this day and age, especially when you've got potentially 44 tons of load coming at you and you want the AEB to stop. But yeah, fair play.
Yeah, that was the old idea of putting it
think we can see a few spoilers and fairings being repaired on the UK roads if that goes live, Mike.
Only a few. So yeah, really interesting video. This video was produced around about 2016, 2017. And some of those ideas that you see in that video, they're out there working now. Those the platooning we're trying, the communication between vehicles, the electronic communication between vehicles, the changes to masses and dimensions so that we can make better use of aerodynamics and more fuel efficiency. They're things that are coming very, very shortly. Use of alternative fuels. These things are all happening now. And electrification, which is what we're going to go on to have a look at now, which is really, really current. So we'll take a look at the DAF electric vehicle range. But before I do that, I really have to reiterate this safety message. And that is that prior to working on any DAF electric vehicle, you must have completed an appropriate course on large vehicle high voltage isolation, reinstatement and safety. There is a serious risk of death when working on these vehicles. The system's up to 600 volts. You must be properly trained. If you have any doubt about working on these vehicles, seek advice from our dealers. All our dealers are being trained, 137 dealers. Every single one of them will have somebody who is capable of performing this procedure. That said, if all you're doing is painting, then there's no reason to isolate them. If you're doing body repairs, of course there is. If you're doing bodybuilding, then it's far more in depth. I implore you to get on some sort of course. There's not many around, and we shouldn't confuse these large vehicle courses with light and car courses. These are very specific to vehicles, and there are some very specific ones to DAF.
That's the call out, I think, is that just if you've got level 3 EV on light vehicle, then it's not going to suffice to work on these big rigs.
No. As far as I'm aware, there is one set of circuitry on a light EV. We currently have 4 systems that would need shutting down on a DAF LF, for example.
Yeah. So that's a really big call out, I think, Mike. So if anyone's got any questions on that, then please fire them through to us. Or if you've got questions after the webinar, then let us know and we'll assist.
Sure. So we'll take a look at the range that's coming. First off, we'll start with our LF electric. So LF for the UK is probably one of the biggest selling trucks in the UK. As I said previously, it ranges from 7.5 to 18 ton. We're on phase 2 of our LFLV now, and which we've seen some real big improvements on distance and range with the batteries. So it's a 19 ton LF, which is 18 ton for UK market. So we have a slightly lower weight than the Europeans, and it's aimed squarely at the distribution market. So it's vehicles that go back to base every day, or that go from hub to hub where they can charge at each hub. It has 240 to 270 kilometers of range. It has a battery of 254 kilowatts, a motor that will give a 260 kilowatts in normal operation, and a peak of 370. And that peak is to do with high load pull away. So if you're pulling away on a slope, then there's a reserve of power that will allow you to pull away, potentially doing a hill start. So we have DC 150 kilowatt chargers with an onboard AC 22 kilowatts. And we see comparative payload deficit to the same diesel variant of around 700 kilos with the EU allowance as an allowance for alternatively powered vehicles of a ton in the UK. So it's not too bad, 100 kilos as a deficit, given the type of work these vehicles are going to do.
And when are these coming to the UK, Mike?
Already here, we're ITT Hub, which is in a few days. We should have one there. We have 3 currently going down, because they're not built on the line. They're built and then the chassis are built and taken off the line and electrified. They're relatively slow to build at the moment, but we'll have 3 demonstrators across the UK. We've already had inquiries for sales, but one of the key things about selling these trucks is to sell the infrastructure that goes with them. So we have to be satisfied that whoever takes one of these trucks has the appropriate charging infrastructure to provide enough energy for them.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, it is a truck platform based on the existing diesel chassis, but only on these 2 wheelbases, so 5.3 and the 5.85 wheelbase. Slightly revised layout of the chassis legs, so obviously with different drilling to suit the different components. Exactly the same cab as a normal LF, but not the sleeper. We only do a day cab for the LF. And to accommodate all the EV equipment and driver information, we have a new updated driver information panel. And obviously it's an EV power unit connected to existing axle. So we have an existing axle which suits the output from the motor. Next slide. Excuse me a minute. So, available on left and right hand drive, as we said, 19 tonne, 18 tonne UK, 5.3, 5.85 wheelbase, day cab, rear axles air suspension only. It takes up less space than conventional springs, which gives us a space for the batteries. We have this Dana tie-up, which gives us their drivetrain with no gearbox. The existing 1344 rear axle, which most people are familiar with, linked to the correct tyres, which are matched to the drive motor speed. And then we have high out voltage batteries and an ePTO. So where we've been traditionally used a mechanically driven PTO from the gearbox, we now have an electronic one, which is probably based at refrigeration bodies, but could also suit the things like compactors and those kind of things.
Okay.
So this is a bit of a ghost shot of what it looks like. So as you can see, it looks like an LF. It is an LF. Got our batteries down the side. And we'll have a look at the motor. If we just move on to the next slide, we can get a bit clearer of a shot. So as you can see there, we've quite cleverly packaged the engine ancillaries, or EV ancillaries, should I say, into a very similar package shape to what the engine was, sat in exactly the same position. We then have our motor behind and our batteries down the chassis. For a slightly clearer view, next slide, please. So as you can see, the engine-shaped EV ancillaries and controls, the drive motor, which is in the position of where the gearbox would have been. We have a side box which holds things like the compressor for the brakes and a few other electronic components. Our batteries down the side, which are our high output batteries. We have a battery chiller unit. So for those of you that are recognised EV vehicles, we have to keep the batteries at optimum temperature. And in this case, 25 degrees is optimum for the UK. And we still keep our 2 12-volt batteries on the side. So just a slightly better look at it. You can see we've moved our air tanks to the centre of the vehicle. We still keep the traditional prop shaft. Everything else stays the same. The next slide. Yeah, just to point out, so guys that are still fitting equipment, you've still got your 2 low voltage batteries on the side there. Next slide, please. So we're also now going to look at our CF electric. So CF is the mid-range vehicle. We partner with a different team now. We've gone from Dana to VDL Group. They're based pretty much in the same place as our factory in the Netherlands, and they've jointly developed this CF electric for high volume city distribution. So supermarkets and the likes uses our standard CF, and we offer 2 vehicle types. So an FT, which is a tractor unit in 4x2, and an FAM, which is a rigid in 6x2. So we can go up to 37 tonnes with these. So we'll take a little bit more detail at both models. CFT, gross combination weight of 37 tonnes. Lost the slide there. So this is the FT, this is the tractor unit. And as we looked at before, we've got a range between 200 and 220 kilometres, an ideal range. A 315 kilowatt battery supply, 210 kilowatt motor with, again, that extra peak for pulling away. And we only have DC voltage charging on these. We don't have any AC. So we've got a 150 kilowatt or 250 kilowatt charging system that will charge in 75 minutes or 45 minutes, depending on the type of charging you have. And we've got a diesel equivalent payload for the UK, which is very good considering the type of vehicle it is.
Still pretty quick charging though, Mike, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And as with all of these things, they only charge at that speed. I mean, you understand, if you take a look at a mobile phone, they only charge up to 80% of that speed, and then it goes on to a trickle. So that's why it says 20 to 80% in 75 minutes, and then you go on to a trickle charge. It's just all to do with battery conditioning. But yeah, the kind of operations they do to get an 80% charge in 45 minutes is quite impressive.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, 45 minutes is the time for a driver's break according to the tacho hours, so it fits in quite nicely.
If you can find a charger, it sounds like they're going to be in high demand as soon as you get rolling with these.
Well, that's the whole idea of having this kind of setup where either you go hub to hub or hub to a loading bay and have the charging on the. So while it's being unloaded, you're plugged in and charging and off. I mean, to be honest, 200 kilometres a day is probably enough for most supermarket runs.
Cool.
Pretty. So we take a look at the FAM, which is a rigid vehicle, a bit like the LF, but bigger, with a bigger cab and what have you. Again, we get a range of about 210, 230 kilometres, 315 kilowatt. The batteries, same power, same charging, and again the same diesel equivalent. And these are aimed at distribution and also at municipal. So ideally at refuse and sweepers and those kind of things. So again, something that's not doing massive mileage but is working in the inner city.
So the council have to put their money where their mouth is then and start investing in this.
Well, they all want zero emission vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, I live around Oxfordshire and they want zero emissions everywhere. So yeah, they can put their money in the pocket. To be honest, these are not cheap vehicles.
No, I can't imagine they would be, in fairness. And then they need the infrastructure when they do get back to the depot to charge them. So interesting. Yeah,
it's an interesting time. The FTs are based on a standard tractor unit with a 380 centimetre wheelbase. We don't have another option. It's just one wheelbase, giving a curb weight of 9 tonne. To give you a rough equivalent, a standard vehicle diesel is about 8.5 tonnes, so we're fairly close. Gross combination weight, so that's the vehicle and the trailer, maximum 37 tonnes. Choice on cab, so you can have a sleeper cab if you wanted to. A lot of drivers that are doing supermarkets that don't need those, but if you're doing hub to hub, then maybe it's a good idea. Air conditioning, driver comfort, all sorts of things you can have. They will have an impact on your range, of course. So again, explains the range there and DC charging. 75 minutes being the optimal charging time, I think, for the best battery condition. But everything everything around what you use on the vehicle, the weather conditions, and all those kind of things, day and night driving, all has an impact on that range. So on the FAN, we've got a little bit more freedom with our wheelbase because it's a rigid vehicle. So we've got 4 lengths there. Curb weight of 10.2 tonne, which again is far off of a standard FAN or body lift. Gross vehicle weight, maximum weight would be 28 tonnes, again with the same cab options, driver, sleeper cab, space cab, and again also with things like air conditioning and all these kind of things. So a fairly good choice on for a start into an EV range, really. If we move on, we can take a look again at this ghost setup of the layout. So once again, we've used that engine space to take in all our ancillaries. The motors where the gearbox used to be, and the batteries are where the fuel tanks used to be. So all taking up space that's not being used on the diesel side of things. So chargers. So we've collaborated with 2 charger suppliers, ABB and Heliox, for supplying chargers. If you're lucky enough to see one of these in your workshop, in the early days, it will most likely come with a charger. All of the ones that belong to DAF are traveling with mobile chargers. So to reduce the problems of that at the moment, whilst there's demonstrations going on and bodies being built and all these kind of things. Slide. So, yeah, these are our two chargers that we mobile chargers on the left there, and the main charger on the right. I have to be honest, I haven't got really deeply into the charging side of things, but you wouldn't want to do it from your house, is basically what I understand. Yeah, lots of choices. We've got dedicated teams to talk about chargers. Charging plugs. So this is a universal charging plug, combined charging plug, the Combo 2. It puts a telltale on the dashboard that shows the charging is in progress and disables the ignition, so you can't start it up and drive it away. And also displays a message to say its charger is connected, all in a bid to try and prevent people driving away, turn the charger along.
It will tow the charger along.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see it at diesel pumps, don't you? So you can't be any different.
No, it's just a bigger tractor unit than your light commercial, your light car.
Yeah, yeah. So a few questions that we often get asked. So as I said to you, range impact. So range is always a thing for electric vehicle operators. So with a 5 kilowatt fridge or a tail lift, so 9 kilowatts on your vehicle, we suggest it has a 4% influence on your range, so 8-10 kilometers. But that is if you use your tail lift once or twice in a day. If you're multi-drop and your tail lift goes up and down 20 times a day, obviously that has an impact, and we can't be off of that. Why no e-axles? So you understand how that works. So the motor goes on the axles, mounting engines on the rear axle or in the wheels, it increases the weight of that axle and the unsprung mass. Not only does it impact on the longevity of existing components, it also has a direct effect on the weight on that axle. We have a UK limit of 11 on that axle. So the more that we don't spread across 2 axles, the less the payload is. And as I said before, range on cold weather, impact on cold weather can be 20 to 25%. So everything has an impact one way or the other.
So, on to questions. I thought that was really interesting, Mike. That was definitely an eye-opener the first time we ran through the electric vehicles. And I think, looking at the ADAS situation on the trucks as well. So we haven't had any questions come through as yet through the people that are.
I've got one question, Mike. I've had an inquiry from 4 training organisations who have asked, would DAF train their staff on the isolation of their trucks? Because they want to deliver the EuroTech accreditation, you see.
Yeah, I mean, we have a completely separate training department. I've asked the question about that, and obviously that would be a commercial agreement between the training team and anybody else. I think, as those that know DAF, our training partners, Meteor, they work at the same building as us, and probably to contact them directly. As far as the moment, they are looking to provide training for dealer staff, and that training, in essence, would be the same that we would give to any commercial operator. But I can't say whether we would sell that training or not.
Okay.
But we'll find out and we'll come back to the viewers.
Yeah, we'll do some work on that.
So Mike, we've discussed this before, but when I was recently up in Scotland, we went to a commercial repairer, and one of the comments was that, you know, some of these newer trucks, not particularly DAF, but it could have been other manufacturers, so generalizing here a little bit, they'd had accidents where they thought the AEB might have kicked in and avoided the accident. But I know you've got your own view on this, and you've touched on it through the presentation, but did you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, as I said, these are a driverless assistance system. So first of all, let's say that if the system has worked, has it mitigated making a much larger accident smaller?
Yeah.
Secondly, as soon as the driver is aware of an accident is going to occur, they generally react, and that reaction, whatever it happens to be, means the vehicle thinks that you're back in control.
Yeah.
So if the vehicle's applied 100% braking and you still got your foot on the brake, it'll still brake. Whether there's sufficient distance enough to stop, well, you know, that's one of those things. But if you turn the wheel, or if you change the angle of your foot on the brake, or whatever, as soon as it realizes you've got control, then, you know, you are taking control of it. We get lots of inquiries that say, can you tell us, was the AEBS active? Did it apply? All things. And we can, you know, we can look at the data and say yes or no. 9 times out of 10, though, if you look at the closing speed of the object, because we record that as well, then it was kind of inevitable that if they interfered with the operation of ABS, they're going to hit whatever they're going to hit.
Yeah, so the collision was inevitable. It was just, you know, depending on
the size of it.
Yeah, the extent of damage to both vehicles, really.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you ever give that data to the police or insurance companies or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we have done in the past. It's been supplied to DVSA and also the police. Depends on the situation. One of the biggest problems we have with police accident investigators is the first thing that they do is remove the tachograph as evidence.
Yeah.
And that's a real problem for us because we get a lot of data off the tachograph.
Okay.
And once they've taken it out, we can't then get that data.
No. Okay. And do you see the ADAS being more sophisticated moving forward? So do you think even though there's interaction by the driver, it may still overrule that and, you know, keep the brakes on or whatever?
I don't think we'll get to the position where the truck overrides the driver. I think what we will be seeing, and legislation will allow for in the next 4 to 6 years, is other systems that can monitor the driver. So things like driver drowsiness awareness, alcohol interlocks, and all these kind of things that will mean that there is better monitoring of the driver. And also that's coming certainly from DAF and other manufacturers is better visibility. One of the keys to to accident prevention is being able to see what's going on. So particularly around cyclists and vulnerable road users, vision is really important. So more glass, lower window ledges, and all these kind of things in the bigger trucks will allow people to see things better.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, recently, Jerry and I were at a repair and they've taken not a door mirror, but a door camera off.
Yeah.
And you've got like an iPad in the cab that displays what you're seeing down the side of the wagon.
Yeah.
So, and do they need calibrating at all, or?
They're self-calibrating.
Right.
I mean, and present guys, DAF don't provide that equipment.
Right.
We provide conventional mirrors, but yes, those kind of things will become more common, and some of the systems will even monitor the length of your trailer and give you a position of the trailer and things like that. So,
okay, cool.
There's no legislation to remove mirrors. There's just legislation to improve indirect vision.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that to me was extremely informative. I'm sure there will be other webinars that we can put on to the same effect. once you've rolled out your electricity fleet, Mike, and you see that coming through in volumes, then we'll probably have another webinar with you to see how that's going, what the benefits are, what some of the challenges have been, etc., etc. But I'd really like to thank you for coming on today, Mike. It's been really good, especially as this is the first VBRA webinar as well. Jerry, any closing questions?
No, it's just great to have this information. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be putting the webinar onto the website under the VBRA page, and we'll also be posting the presentation as well, which will have the contact details, how you get onto the portal for DAF, and how you can subscribe to the more intellectual data being provided by DAF. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out today and coming on the VBRA webinar with DAF, and I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.